It is 23 minutes after 8 o'clock. Retired surgeon Ben Carson catching on with anti-establishment Republicans, but he's no stranger to controversy. He outlines his vision for America in his book, A More Perfect Union. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I got to ask you, the book is perfect for somebody like me who didn't pay really close attention in American history class, because you walk through how the government works, how the government is structured, which is confusing to a lot of people. But help me start with this one. If you liked President blank, you'll like President Carson. Which president do you admire the most?
George Washington. He was extremely brave. He was a man of faith, and he wasn't full of himself. And he could have easily been the monarch, but he absolutely refused and decided to go back to being a farmer.
You have taken grief for some comments about a tragedy that happened very recently up in Oregon, the community college shooting, saying that if it had been you, you would have stood up and urged others to do the same and stood up to that gunman and rushed him and tried to stop him. Some people took that as criticism of the victims.
I think they took it as criticism because much of the media didn't play the question. The question that I was answering was, if you had been there and someone was pointing a gun at you and asking you about your religion, what would you have done? And I told them what I would have done. I would have charged the gunman, and I would have said everybody else charge them too. I think that's one of the things that was learned with Flight 93 on 9/11.
Right.
You know, charge those people. Don't just sit there and let them do whatever they want to do. So no, in no way is that a criticism of the victims, but it does plant the seed in people's mind, because this may well not be the last time that this occurs. And if people are thinking that way, the gunman has less chance of being successful.
You and another outsider, and just about everybody else who's running, is a governor, a senator, or, you know, they've held some kind of public office. You and Mr. Trump have not. You're proud of the fact that you've not. But we've struggled as journalists and presumably as voters too, to get real solid, specific answers out of you. Is your campaign more about broad strokes and big ideas than it is about getting down into the weeds and specifics about things like the federal debt?
Well, interestingly enough, unlike many candidates, you know, I've written numerous books that have my plans in great detail, and I talk about it in great detail, particularly when I'm out on the road. But usually in short soundbite segments, you don't have a time to go into great detail.
Let me ask you about this new trade agreement, which the President trumpets as terrific for America, the new NAFTA with Asia, a trade agreement with Asian nations. Hillary Clinton, who negotiated much of it as Secretary of State, is now opposed to it. Where do you stand on opening up trade and lowering tariffs with 40% of the world's economy?
Do I like the idea of free trade? Absolutely. Particularly when it's done in a very fair way. What I don't particularly like is when we take it and allow a lot of agencies, organizations, and people who are outside of the United States to have great influence on what's going on here. And I think it should be renegotiated in a way that we empower the representatives of the people. But the ideal of free trade, I very much agree with.
Dr. Ben Carson, thank you so much. We've got to mention that you are going to be in Fort Worth a week from Tuesday at the Barnes & Noble store at Hewlin Mall to meet folks, sign the book as well. And we have a link to the book and the appearance on fox4news.com. Thanks so much for joining us live this morning.
Thank you, Billy. Looking forward to seeing people there.